If you want to get 50 or 60% growth on your property investments year in, year out, it is crucial that you understand how to invest in property. And this is where people go wrong. They do not understand the basics. So today I'd like to dive into the understanding part. It's part of the Rulers principle. The Rulers is an acronym. It stands for radar, understand, love, events, risk or risk reversal, and systems. So let's focus on why it's so important to understand what to do and how to do it in property, because otherwise I can almost guarantee you that you're not going to get that 50 or 60%, for example, that we are doing for the last many years. Now, I'm Dreyer. I'm the founder of the Wealth Creators Method, where we help entrepreneurs and investors to create, to grow, and to protect their wealth. And a fabulous way to do it, and one of the ways that I'm using, is property. But in order to invest in property, we first need to understand, which are back to the Rulers principle, right? The U. So what do we need to understand? I think everyone will agree with me that if you invest in anything, you'd like to become at least successful in that. So what is success? First thing that we need to know. Success, if I look at Earl Nightingale, is a progressive realization of a worthy goal. Whoa, so it's a goal. And it must be a worthy goal. So when I started investing in property, my goal was to be financially free before the age of 40. I started at the age of 30. Financial freedom, to me, what does it mean? It simply means is to be in a position financially to be able to do what I want, when I want, where I want, how I want, with whom I want, without worrying about money. That is freedom. And property is one of those investments that can give you that on condition that you understand it. And you must first understand before you start investing in it. Of course, otherwise you're going to make serious mistakes. Another tip that I'd like to give you, and that is the quickest way that I've found to become successful, is to get the right information in the right order for the level that I'm at. And then I have to apply it in order to be able to measure the results to see if I'm progressing in the right way towards my goal. So we see we need to understand it. We need to identify what's success and the quickest way to become successful. And this is what I want to focus in the understanding part today, is what is that progressive realization? That progressive means you have to do it, but you have to do it in the right order for the level of the game, and you need to get the right information for that level that you're at in the right order. What do I mean with that? And you'll see how this relates to property or any investment in just a moment. Let's take school. We get primary school, but there are 7 levels in primary school, grade 1 up to grade 7. Then you move on to high school, and there are 5 grades, grade 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 in high school. So we understand this concept when it comes to our school education, but we've got no clue how to apply this when it comes to property. So at school, if you at level 1, primary school, and you pass level 7, it means that you now can move on to the next level, which is high school. But here's the trick. Say, for example, you pass grade 7 with a distinction. And let's take math. So you're good at math. You pass it. You move on to grade 8. But now you say, no. Because I know how to read, I know how to write, I know how to do the basics, calculation, add, divide, fractions, and stuff like that. I want to sit and write a grade 12, a matric exam. Do you think for one moment that you're going to pass it? If you're a normal person. So I think that you'll agree with me that there's absolutely no ways that you'll be able to do it. And this is exactly what most people do when they invest. Of course, they can read and write and maybe do a little bit of calculations. They think to invest in property, all they do is they listen to YouTube videos, they do a course, or they read about a property, or they go to someone else that's giving advice, and now suddenly they understand, they know. Know means it's applied knowledge, and applied knowledge means it's understanding, and understanding means you've got the wisdom to be able to apply it in real life to get the results that you want. Because otherwise, why on earth do you invest in property? Because if it's not going to give you the results, in other words, if you're not going to be successful, it's a waste of time to invest in property. If that property is going to cost you money your whole life and you're not gaining from it because it's not working hard enough, then why do you invest in property? Now, when we say what we need to understand is, first of all, that my IGR, my investment growth rate, must be bigger than my FFGR. Now, the chances are almost 0% that you know what your financial freedom growth rate is, because no one has showed that to you. No one has taught you how to determine your own financial freedom growth rate, let alone what your investment growth rate on your property is going to be. In other words, your investment growth rate must be higher than your financial freedom growth rate, because otherwise you will never be financially free. So it's like a reverse engineering back. I need to understand that. Luckily, we've got a course just on financial freedom planner, and it's like this, and you'll know it. Now you've got a benchmark. So now that I know that, guess what? Now I can move on to this definition, the progressive realization. In other words, if my IGR, this that I need to get in my property, if that growth is enough so that it's higher than my financial freedom growth rate, I'm progressing towards my goal. And I can measure that on a yearly basis. I can measure it on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis. I'm in total control. So immediately I've eliminated that risk of not becoming financially free. And risk simply means when you do not understand. We're back to the understanding part of that you are busy doing. And yet most people invest, but they don't understand what they do and why they do and what the consequences will be of that they are busy doing, because they listen to other people and they trust other people to give them advice, because they do not want to take the responsibility to put in the time and the effort to understand, to gain the wisdom before they start with their investments. And that's the reason why most people will never, ever be financially free, and definitely not become financially free with property. And to most people, property is one of the biggest burdens that you can think of. And I've got different masterclasses where I'm explaining this. So we need to understand. But let's dive a little bit deeper into this understanding. In property, there's a risk that we need to understand. And one of the risks, as an example, will be tax, the different forms of tax. Now, most people will know that there's a lot of tax benefits in property. For example, you can apply Section 13(6), or you can deduct all the costs associated with that property. That, for example, includes, if you've got a bond or a mortgage, the interest portion of that. You can deduct repairs and maintenance. You can deduct if you do urban developments. So there's a lot of ways where we can deduct legally and get that deduction for my property investment. But that's not where it ends. You see, you go to a person that's at the level 4 and that knows how to operate a level 4. You're at a level beginning, right? Because you start with level 1. Now you hear what people say, yeah, but you must have the right entities, the right financial structures. For example, the right company, or you must have a trust, or you must have a blind trust that is linked to your family trust, that is linked to your property trust, that is linked to your stock trust, that is linked with your business trust. And then those people are going to sell this and they're going to make a lot of money. And by using that, you think that now I'm moving ahead because I've got the right structure. But do you know that structures are a level 4? So if you're at the level 4, and in level 4, there are different steps that you need to take. So all of this that you're doing at the level 1 is going to hurt you. It's not going to benefit you to help you to get your IGR to be bigger than your FFGR, even if the structures are perfect. And now people say, honest, but I've lost you. How's this possible? All the rich people are doing it. All the rich people are 2% of the population. For them, it's one of the best things that they can do. But at the level 1, that is not where you start. That is not what your main purpose and function should be. Because you're not there. You haven't even got a property. So why do you want to set up structures and listen to people that's going to charge you an arm and a leg for that? It's because you're ignorant. You don't understand. Now, let's assume you do it and you do it perfectly. You get all the structures right. Now you buy the wrong property because most people don't know how to buy the right property. They don't know how to make sure that their IGR is going to be bigger than their FGR when they buy the property. They buy listening to other people that says, this is a great investment and you're going to get it below market value and all of that story, which is a lie, because if it's below market value, then surely someone clever would have picked up that property already, especially if that property is on the market for a month or 2 months. We get our advice from someone else. Why? We do not understand how to do it ourselves, because we are not prepared to put in the time and the effort to learn the tricks of the trade. So now I've got my structure right. I buy this property, but this property, to gain the maximum benefit from that property and all the tax deductions that we can get, runs into a negative. In other words, it sounds great. But immediately, if I bought that property, for example, in my personal name, and it's the only investment property that I've got, immediately there's a law, an act that says this is ring fencing. In other words, all that benefit, all that tax benefit where SARS can subsidize you up to 45% of your losses, all of that is gone. And then people say, no, do it in a company, and you link the company to a trust, and you link that trust to that trust. Now it's ring-fenced automatically. In other words, where will this company get the money from in order to offset the losses? So there's absolutely no benefit for that year or for the next 5 to 7 years or even longer. This simply means here I have to earn the money in order to subsidize this, which I cannot deduct. The company is receiving something that is not actually income because it's a loss, and it can't deduct any of the losses. This means that I am sitting with a credit loan account, which can be devastating on the long run to me unless I'm writing it off. But the moment that I want to write it off and I do not know what to do, there are certain tax consequences. So here I'm sitting with something where I have to earn that money additional, which I'm going to be taxed on. Here I'm sitting with a deduction that I cannot deduct, which is a loss. So this loss becomes like a magnification of stupidity because I don't understand. And it's not that I don't understand. No one has showed me how it works. And I was not prepared to put in the time and the effort to understand how the tax law works and how to use this tax law to my benefit. So for most people, when you start with your first investment, all these fancy tricks become totally irrelevant, and you are going to pay a huge tax price for getting in, as well as a capital gains tax that you could get, that you're not going to get, simply because you do not understand the basics of property and how that relates to tax, or how taxes relate to property. So for the rich, all these tax benefits is huge because they use all these benefits, get all these subsidies, costing them nothing, convert a deliberate negative into a positive of 50 to 60%. This is what I've been doing, and this is what I'm teaching my students. But if you don't get the basics, there's no ways that you'll be able to apply it. So let's get back to success. It's a progressive realization of where to go. The quickest way to get the right information in the right order for the level of the game that you're at, then you have to apply it to see what? If my IGR is bigger than my FFGR. If it's not, I know I'm going to waste my time, I'm going to waste effort, I'm going to waste fabulous resources, and I'm going to waste my money because that property cannot and will not ever give me financial freedom or help me on my road to financial freedom. What they do not understand is that that free advice is going to cost them financial freedom. They'll never get there. So I've put a very, very special package deal together. The first one includes the ruler's principle to go a lot deeper so that you understand how to apply it not only in property, but in any investment. And then how that relates to our minds, our psychological, because the psychology makes up 95% of your success when it comes to property. We call that the quantum awakening. And then we take it from there. And how do I set goal? In other words, that goal setting is the power goal. It's a course around that. But that intent becomes my power goal, which is the formula for riches. But then we see that there are certain things that's going to keep you from achieving that because most people are going to make debt. That's why I'm including the debt eradication course. And on top of that, I say, okay, but let's get the basics of property, because to most people, property will be the biggest debt and the most unproductive debt that they're ever going to have in their life. But there are ways that you can offset that. And this is where the debt and education adds on to the basics of property that links with the core that I've just mentioned. But then I'm also going to include the ruler's principle, which is the basis, so that you understand exactly what do you need to do to form the rule before you invest in property or yourself or business or cryptos or the forex or the stock market. Now, if you're serious about this, then you're going to find a link. Now, there are two ways that you can benefit from that. The first one, and the easiest one, and the cheapest one, is to say, okay, I'd like to find out more about this Wealth Creator Starter Kit and what it can do and how it can start this process. Now, remember, there are different levels. This is literally a level 1, the basics of level 1 that you need to get before you start investing in property. It's not going to give you the absolute, the maximum, the type of growth that we are getting. But without this knowledge, you will never be able to understand and get to the knowledge that you'll need if you want consistently to buy properties that is costing you nothing, and where SARS is subsidizing you, SARS the tax man, where you get free growth, 100%. SARS literally pays us in order to build the property portfolios that is costing us nothing. Now, we apply that with the Wealth Creator strategy, which is intelligent use of limited resources to go from where we are to where we want to be in the shortest possible time with the least amount of risk. And risk is where you do not understand. This is the reason why you need to understand how property works. So how do you offset it? Only one way, by having the skills. And this is what we do with the Wealth Creators Method in university, where we teach you the skill applied to property so that you'll be in a position to get the growth that you need, back to the formula for riches, and with a financial freedom planner, so that you can retire like myself and be financially free 7 years after you started this, on condition that you've got the skills and you are taking the responsibility to do this yourself and not rely on other people giving you advice. We've also got a masterclass, in fact, more than one masterclass, that I'd like to invite you to. That is only if you're serious. If you're not serious, you'll never understand, because you're not going to put in the time and the effort in order to be able to do it. So I really hope that this little introduction is at least going to motivate you to say, whoa, but where am I on my path to financial freedom? How does property fit into it? One of the things of the acronym that I've mentioned is love. If you do not love to invest in property, if you hate it, if you can't see the benefit, then normally when I started seeing the benefit, that's when I started loving property and investing in property, but not emotionally, scientifically, right? Doing the sum and see that the sum can work according to the formula for riches, as well as this other course that I'm giving you access to, which is called the Financial Freedom Planner. The moment that that lines up and I am mentally strong enough, in other words, psychologically, I am, and I know what to do and what my potential is and how to tap into that potential and relying on myself, that is when life changes. That is when you start empowering yourself. That is when you take control of your destiny. It's got nothing to do with the economy. It's got nothing to do with your job. It's got nothing to do with your boss. It's got nothing to do with political parties. It's got nothing to do with the world's economy. It's got nothing to do with the World Economic Forums or the World Bank or stuff. It's got nothing. It's got to do with you. Do you understand yourself? Do you understand how to invest? Do you understand what goes with that investment? Do you know why most people are going to back out and they will never, ever become really, really financially free? Not only financially free, but to have freedom where they can experience the thing, where they have the time, where they can make the choices, the 4 levels of freedom, where they can choose how to live their lives. This is all yours on condition that you say, whoa, I'm going to take the responsibility to understand what it is that I need to do. And as I've said, if you're serious and you want to start, I've got a special package deal that I've put together. There you'll find a link just below in the description area or somewhere on this page. You'll find a link, follow that. But then there's a second option, and the second option is going to cost you nothing. Come and listen to one of the master classes. Book your spot for the next one. And see how this system keeps us from becoming the best that we can be. My friend, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your family, and you owe it to society to at least understand the basics if you want to become successful. And I know you've got the potential, because if you look at the quantum awakening and you see what your true potential is and how to unlock that potential, then you'll start with this journey today. And that's what I wish for you. Okay, so follow the links, see how it works for you. Give me feedback, please. And then if this makes sense to you, please give me a like, subscribe to the channel, because there's a lot more information already waiting for you. And then I can't wait to see you in the next video.